That's my blue potted peas harvested. They're the ones that I'm going to dry and use for winter soups. I understand they're also the pea that the children's nursery rhyme is written about. The rhyme that goes something like, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold. Some like it in the pot 9 days old. Well, these are the critters. I have a book called Preserving the Harvest, and I was surprised to learn that the proper way to prepare these for drying is to blanch them in steam, the same as you would do if you were going to freeze them, and then dry them. So that's today's project. Well, that's the peas all shelled out. As you can see in the center there, some of the older peas, the pods that were riper, are sort of a yellowish color. And that's got me thinking of something. When you buy a can of Abidon French-Canadian pea soup, it's yellow peas that they used. I'm wondering if this might be the pea. After you blanch it and dry it, it's sort of a yellowish brown color. I don't know. I've never seen yellow peas or grown yellow peas, so I don't know where theirs come from. Anyway, these are now ready for 3 minutes of blanching in steam. Well, there's a good head of steam coming out of this thing, so I will set the timer for 3 minutes. Put the peas in the steamer. At the end of 3 minutes, you put the blanched peas, or whatever vegetable that you're blanching, in ice water. And the book on Preserving the Harvest had a nice suggestion. It said to take a milk carton, fill it full of water, and keep it frozen in your freezer. And every time you need that for ice water, you just float the large block of ice in water, ready to dump the produce into. I use my canner to chill the peas down in, or whatever vegetable I'm chilling. Well, they've been chilling now they've been in the steamer now for 3 minutes, and it's time to put them in the ice water. After they've completely cooled, you remove them from the ice water and put them on a clean tea towel to drain a bit before you freeze them, or in this case before I lay them out to dry. Well, I've just spread them out in a single layer on a cookie sheet covered with parchment paper so they wouldn't come in direct contact with the metal. And as soon as they've dried off completely, the water's evaporated off of them, I'm going to cover them with a tea towel to prevent dust from settling on them, or flies from getting on them, or whatever, because I guess it will take 4 or 5 days at least for them to dry enough to put in a container and keep for winter. Well, there's my blue potted pea harvest, dried, or I guess it's dry. I'm going to leave the cover off this container for a few more days to make sure there isn't any moisture left in there, but they certainly turned dark when they dried, all the way from a dark green, dark brown, to some that are close to black. So I don't know, there's enough in there I guess to try them in at least one soup sometime this winter, so I'll have to report back and see what they taste like. Well, this is my entire garlic crop laid out to dry in the sun. I'm very pleased with the Fish River No. 3 that I bought from Salt Spring Island Seeds in Salt Spring Island, British Columbia. Some of the heads are larger than others, but they're all got very large cloves. There's only 4 cloves per head, so it's all very, very usable garlic. And I'm going to save most of that to replant. It grew so well here that I'd like to have more of it another year, so I'll probably save the majority of what I grew this year to plant in a larger garlic bed next year. Next to it is the just off the store shelf variety of garlic, probably that stuff that comes in from China. Seems to be the only thing available most of the time in the stores around here, and I'm not very satisfied with that. It's kind of small heads, but you know, still usable, I guess. I'll dry it and use it right away. I answered my own question, I guess, that I posed last week on my video about whether or not it would be possible to stop using BTK because surely the cabbage moths won't continue to lay their eggs forever. Well, I was just out in the garden harvesting this and putting some organic fertilizer around, and there was a white cabbage moth going from plant to plant in my brassica bed, laying her eggs. So I guess there's no stopping with the BTK, not yet anyway. I'm going to show you some fennel that I just pulled out of the garden, the first fennel that I've harvested. But before I show you the fennel, I'll give you a little look at this bed of lavender. It's newly planted this year. This used to be a herb garden which got overtaken by weeds, and I reclaimed it. And that circle of lavender in the center were just tiny little plants when I planted them earlier this spring. They were in 4-inch pots, but they were just barely little started plants. The only thing this has had for fertilizer, other than I think I did put a little compost under it when I first planted them, is they've had several feedings of compost tea. So I must say they've really done well. The variety is Hitcot, and on the edge here you see a little bit bigger plants. Those were the ones that I bought last year to see which one would survive the winter. I bought Hitcot, English lavender, and French lavender. The English lavender and Hitcot both made it through the winter quite well, but the poor old French lavender died an awful death here last winter. Anyway, I'll give you a look at this fennel that I just pulled. I don't know a great deal about fennel. This particular variety is called Florence fennel, and I think maybe it's starting to bolt. If you look at the plant on the right, it's got a lot more narrow at the base, and it was really shooting up in the air. So I thought I would grab a couple of them now in case that is what's happening. I'm also quite fascinated with the root. The one on the left there has a definite tap root, almost like a carrot. 2 of them, but really long and slender. I have to do some Googling to see if the roots are edible too. And the one on the right, I guess, would have had a single tap root. It must have encountered a stone or something in the ground. It branched out with several roots that are smaller roots, tap roots as well, but smaller. Anyway, my first fennel has been harvested. It's not completely ripe, but it's on its way anyway. That particular one I think is called Big Beef. It's the first one in either the garden or the greenhouse to start to turn ripe. It's the first one, I guess, also that formed. There are a number more on this small Big Beef plant. The one that's ripening, I guess, is the smallest. The rest of them are sort of living more up to their name. Don't know what they taste like, but I can hardly wait. Ignore the sickly looking plant. I just wanted to show you this cucumber. I have it labeled as Boothby's Blonde. I had lemon cucumbers and Boothby's Blonde both. I think somehow the seeds got mixed up. I think this must be a lemon. It's very yellow and almost lemon shaped, but the plant itself is, I think it's the only cucumber it's going to have. It's a pretty sick looking cucumber plant. Now that made me smile. After all the griping I've done about the carrots, I just pulled one carrot, what appeared to be the largest, going by the size of the tops. I don't know, that's got to be 7-8 inches long, I guess. A very nice straight carrot. I can hardly wait. I'm going to have it raw very soon. Those are my high bush blueberries, that you can see are very close to the forest. Once again this year, the creature from the forest has come out and eaten 90% of them. I find clumps of the green ones on the ground that were rejected. I have no idea what's doing that. I don't believe we have bears. Could be a deer. I suspect it's probably raccoons. I want to blame it on the raccoons just because I despise them so much. Anyway, to close this video off, I show you a little bowl of the high bush blueberries that I just picked. Enough for me to have on my cereal for a couple of breakfast times, I guess. But the creature got the rest. I'm
ones all right, because I prefer the small wild ones anyway. I bought 10 pounds a week or so ago from the blueberry dealership there on Penfield Ridge, close to St. John.